HARDtalk is on the road, deep inside the Arctic Circle. And this is northern Greenland, where the summer sun never sets on a vast ice-capped island with just a tiny population. For millennia, the Inuit who live here have survived on hunting and fishing and not much else. But now the climate is changing. The ice is melting. So what happens to Greenland if it emerges from the deep freeze? Greenland is one of the last great uninhabited places on our planet. Deep frozen, barren, remote, much of Greenland can only be seen from the air. But for thousands of years, human beings have maintained a presence on Greenland's coastal fringe. Inuit settlers came here from the North American continent. The sea was their provider. Fish, seal, and whale sustained small communities far into the Arctic Circle. I took a fishing boat to Ogatsut, a tiny village perched above a natural harbour on Greenland's west coast. Fishing was, and still is, the mainstay of this community. Rows of halibut dry in the sun as locals prepare for the cold and permanent darkness of winter. But life in Ogatsut is changing. Winters are noticeably less harsh. Often the sea isn't thick enough for the traditional hunting with dogs and sleds. Lars Fleischer spent decades fishing these waters. Now he runs the local fish processing plant. Tell me if in your life, over the last 20 years, you feel that the climate is changing.
Ukun takkunani imaksunaruaq manna inuirutingaissimau tamanikku ma ukio issittaqallarma misiisimavara ortitsqaiuannangorluta taamalluta maani taava kiatsikkiart imassinau kiatsikkiartornaani taava suliffissat ataavartu maani atuutsteriarmata taava innuit amerlaqqikkiartorsimupput nuukkaluit utertalarsimupput mussakkul haartersi anguliivillugit pikkua nutaat illuimaattorpata inuqalerpata inuihaartersi sinnissuut.
I know that traditionally you go hunting with dogs on the ice out in the bay every winter to hunt for seal. And now the ice isn't there, it's not safe, you can't do that. Do you feel that some of your ancient traditions are under threat?
Soornaimnalernaqarsinappu ulerianartorsiortu kisian misilinikuusimallugit ulerianartorsiortutut uanga uangi inuullartillunga takkua nalungilakka kisianni inuusuttatta.
If the climate is warming, do you believe it will make Greenland a more attractive place?
Ineriartornermi kalaallit naleqqussaarnermikku naleqqusillariarner naleqqussariallaqqinnermikku taanna.
Lars Fleischer, thank you very much for being on HARDtalk.
Truinillillu neriussuuga mangatikeraartarumartus.
Thank you very much indeed. In a period of climate change, there are going to be winners and losers, and these guys may be the big losers. The Inuit keep the huskies for hunting in winter on the sea ice, but in recent winters the ice has been thin or non-existent. The dogs have been seriously unemployed, and now many Inuit are thinking of downsizing their packs. There's no room for sentiment. I asked one man how he'd disposed of his unwanted dogs. The dog catcher came, he told me, with a gun. But in Greenland, global warming could usher in an unprecedented era of growth, literally. Greenlanders have always had to import their fresh vegetables. That just might be changing.
This is the kale, and then we have the leek, and then we have the potatoes.
In Kangerlussuaq, just inside the Arctic Circle, chef Kim Ernst now grows his own. Yes, fresh, homegrown vegetables to go with the local muskox, reindeer and fish.
We put it in the restaurant for fun, so people that's coming can try some local stuff in Greenland. That's not usually except the meat and the fish, but vegetables is very rare to get up here. Normally we get it from Denmark by airplane. We don't charge extra for it.
Here in the far north, a warming climate is serving up some tantalizing opportunities. Geologists have long looked at Greenland with covetous eyes. If the climate is less severe, exploration is a less daunting proposition. Here, along the fjords of the west coast, mineral prospectors are on the hunt for precious metals. This is the second biggest fjord network in the world, but it is not the extraordinary beauty of this place that excites the geologists. They've already found telltale signs of gold and platinum down below in the rocks. They believe with new tests, new boreholes, they can prove that this could be valuable mining territory. Greenland has just been given self-rule by Denmark, which means the Greenlandic government controls exploitation of its own oil, gas and minerals.
This is our core logging shack, where geologist is looking at the drill core that we get off the hill from where we're drilling.
So this has come directly from the drill site?
This is right from the drill site.
What are you looking for that might be telltale signs of gold?
We've got very pronounced garnet, biotite, and the stringers of sulfides, quartz veining. But all this combination of different minerals tell us that we've had the right mechanisms at work for focusing the gold in this unit.
So for you as a geologist, this is quite exciting.
This is what I would call a good section of core, which definitely has potential to have some grade to it.
Nuna Minerals is investing big money in exploration. Greenland's minerals potential could run to tens of billions of dollars. Rewards that make it worth braving even the ferocious mosquitoes that make protective headgear a necessity in the Arctic summer. Rasmus Christensen, welcome to HARDtalk.
Thank you.
We're talking in the most beautiful virgin wilderness. Do you have any qualms, any anxiety about bringing your equipment, your mining operation to a place like this?
Of course, it's always a balance between the impact on the environment and what you gain from doing it. And we're operating under a very strict set of environmental guidelines by the government. And of course, Nuna Minerals being a Greenlandic base, we're, so to speak, operating in our own backyard. And we've all got an interest in keeping this as untouched as possible and
yeah,
keep
but
the
hang on a minute. You know as well as I do that your investors want you to find viable deposits of gold, and they want a mine to be established, and they want presumably hundreds of workers to come, and all of the heavy equipment, the diggers and the huge trucks and everything that goes with a mine. That's what they want right here.
Well, that's what we want too. That's
And I'm asking
that's
you
why we're doing
if
this operation.
is that the right thing to want for a place like this?
For a start, this is a country that's just picking up pace, developing the economy, and it's a very significant part of the future plans to involve mineral exploration and mining in the Greenlandic economy.
If things go very well and your company finds what it wants to find, what might be happening right here?
Well, if this site gets developed into an operating mine, there will be a port facility in the bay.
Just down there in the bay of the fjord.
That's one possible site. Then there will be some infrastructure put in, some roadworks, and then there will be the mine site itself. And of course, when the mine is operating, this will be very visible.
There'll be plenty of carbon emissions too, won't there?
Yes, I mean there's nothing's for free, and it's always a trade-off what you want to gain and what you want to invest.
And when we see operations from southern Africa to the tar sands of Canada, can we be confident that if that opening up of Greenland happens, it will be done in the right, responsible way?
Yes, a lot of it is, you can call it sins of the past. There was a different mentality towards mining operations in the 50s, 60s and 70s. We're operating under a completely different set of environmental standard and guidelines for best practice in our operations. And there's a lot of focus on it, both in the population and in the government, and of course in our company and ourselves.
Well, that sounds good, but are you really sure of your words?
Sure. That's why I can sort of personally work here. That's I love this country as much as anybody. I'm living here, and I've got no interest in making a bigger footprint than absolutely necessary.
Rasmus Christensen, thank you very much for being on HARDtalk.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much indeed. Here in Greenland, you feel you're on the edge of the world. But if the world is warming, that sense of isolation may melt away. If the sea ice doesn't form in winter, then transport and logistics become easier. From minerals to tourism, a warmer Greenland offers new opportunities. As I headed down the fjord to Nuuk, Greenland's capital, from the gold prospectors' camp, I reflected on the dilemma which now faces Greenland's leaders. Is it time to embrace change or resist it? Premier Kubik Kleist, welcome to HARDtalk. It seems to me that your country, Greenland, has become the poster child for potential climate disaster. International politicians are constantly coming up here and seeing and talking about the melting ice. Do you resent that?
They're traveling to Greenland in a good course. I mean, the thing is that lots of politicians need to directly look at the ice melting, the glaciers going out into the sea with a high speed to recognize that something serious is happening with the globe. And in terms of Greenland serving that, I don't mind, so to speak.
But it does mean that your vast island is associated with looming disaster, which isn't necessarily either right or a good thing for your people.
It's a global problem. Greenland is experiencing both huge new problems. We are facing new challenges with the climate change, but also some advantages which we have to focus more on in the future. And you have to look at what's happening in the northern parts and also what's happening in the southern parts, which are affected differently.
Well, let's talk in detail about that, because it seems to me if you have, and the scientists tell us this is now inevitable, at least a 2 degree, maybe 3, 4 degrees centigrade rise in temperature here in Greenland, it presents you with a set of choices. The traditional lifestyle of the hunters and some of the fishermen becomes more difficult. but a whole new host of opportunities are opened up in agriculture, in mining. Isn't that something that you should embrace?
It's obvious we have to adapt to the new situation, and also, to me, it is obvious that you cannot go back to the original lifestyle. Hunters are being fewer, the fishermen have to fish in other ways, new species maybe. But it is also true that...
Do you think your people understand that? Because many of them, many of the Inuit are deeply traditional. They associate their culture with hunting,
of course, it takes
with
time.
fishing.
It takes time to adapt to new circumstances, especially when this evolution or the changes are happening so rapidly as it does. Over a few years, the winter season has become different, completely different and compared to what it used to be. The sea ice is disappearing. You cannot go on dog sleds anymore on the sea ice for fishing or hunting. But at the same time, we are discovering new opportunities, of course, both with respect to agriculture, but also with the mineral resources. While the ice cap is disappearing, new areas of land are discovered and new opportunities.
And difficult decisions for you as the leader of your country. I mean, to lay this out for people, you have spent a few weeks now as the leader of Greenland under a new self-rule agreement. And to be clear about this agreement, it allows you to make the key decisions about mining, about exploitation of resources on and under your vast island, yes?
Yes, yes.
So let's talk about the decisions you must face, because the US Geological Survey last year reported that perhaps 1/3 of the natural gas resources of the world that have yet to be found may be under the Arctic. 1/6 of the unproven oil reserves may be under the Arctic. Are you actively now working with companies to try to find those resources?
Now we have all the major international players within the oil industry looking at Greenland and everywhere, in the sea, on land. And I have to say that it is of course a dilemma for us, both in terms of how big this industry can grow and how small our society is, how few people we are, how to manage this big game economically and politically is of course a big challenge, but also in terms of the climate change, that we actually will provide gas and oil for industries and for any other purpose, which of course put us in a moral dilemma.
Well, it would be a terrible irony, would it not, if you were the premier who oversaw the exploitation of fossil fuels in the land which is most closely associated with the dangers of global warming. Are you prepared to be that man?
We have a two-sided knife on our throat in that question. I mean, there is a growing and very strong demand for Greenland to become economically independent from Denmark.
But you are saying to me that yes, if the big oil companies find major deposits, you will press the green light and you will let them exploit them and you will take your financial rewards.
We will do that, as the rest of the world
You know
does.
better than anybody what that means in terms of carbon emissions, in terms of adding to the problems that are already here.
Yes, we know. It's a big dilemma, but we don't feel any other way of handling this. But for the time being, we have to look seriously on this new opportunity.
And one thing you're looking at is a vast aluminium smelting plant. Alcoa, the huge corporation, want to build it, and I believe you want to give them permission to build it, despite the fact, and it brings us back to the basic question of the climate, despite the fact that if it's built, PricewaterhouseCoopers, who did a survey, reckon it will double Greenland's carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions immediately. But you're prepared to say yes?
At the same time, the global emission of CO2 will be cut like 80% with respect to this amount of aluminum produced, because what will happen with this one is it will be replacing a melter which is driven by coal, and in this case, of course, we haven't still made the final conclusion on this project.
But you're minded to say yes.
We are minded under some conditions.
Premier Kleist, it strikes me that you are the leader of Greenland who is going to oversee the most massive change in your country. Just take the smelter for one. That's going to be thousands of new jobs created if it comes here. You're talking about oil and gas, thousands of potential new jobs. The mining will continue in one way or another, thousands of jobs. How are you going to retain Greenland's identity? All of these migrant workers who will be coming in, bringing with them different culture, different values. What happens to Greenland?
With respect to the aluminum melter, the thousands of workers coming from the outside will probably stay for 5 years or so.
Will you be clear that they cannot have citizenship?
They cannot have citizenship if they only stay for a limited time. If they want to be a citizen of Greenland, of course, we will look at that. That's why we want to take over regulation of immigration from the Danish government.
Yeah, but that brings me back to this point about retaining the character of your country. This is an Inuit country.
Yes.
An Inuit country. You've got 56,000 citizens, and I believe about 80% are Inuit.
We want to build regulations which protects the inhabitants of Greenland. And also, at the same time, we want to send the message that Greenland is an open society. We will avoid any kind of discrimination, but at the same time, of course, we need the protection of this very small number of people living here.
You talk about Greenland's development, but there are some statistics that are very worrying. If one looks at rates of alcoholism, very high. One looks at social problems in families here, very high. Underemployment and unemployment rising, particularly amongst the traditional communities. What are you going to do about that?
We are facing exactly the same problems as all other former colonies on this globe. We are fighting the problems that we are facing, and we want to learn also from the outside world. We believe that we are improving and that we are now using the right tools for fighting all those problems. I don't want to hide away from that we got those massive social problems, but at the same time I won't give up. I have to believe in a brighter future, and also that the new politicians are able to do better than we did previously, and that the development of a more free Greenland society also could contribute to a brighter future.
Premier Kubik Kleist, thank you very much for being on HARDtalk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.